Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry, I literally did a full on like sit down record in front of a lovely backdrop here to try and do my intro, and I just can't do it. I have to, it's so weird, I have to have like the camera in my hand to like speak normally. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I was in Madeira in May this year with my mom and my brother. We were only there for 3 days, so it was jam-packed. Like, we did so much in the couple of days. So if you're interested in a jam-packed Madeira itinerary, keep watching this video. Let's get right into it. It's going to be the same layout as I did with my Dubai video. If you haven't seen that, do feel free to have a look at it. It's going to be very similar. I'm going to go through everything that we did, everything that we saw, and like little Google pins. So same as the last time, get your drink, get your tea, whatever you're having, get a notebook to jot things down, preferably get your Google Maps, pin everything that I show you. It's the best way to save places online. And yeah, let's get into it. Ryanair have recently set up direct flights from Dublin to Madeira, so that's what we got when we were flying. Absolutely perfect. Flight times were also lovely. We rented a car, and I personally think that this was essential for getting around Madeira. The public transport, I couldn't tell you what it's like, to be honest, but it's not one of those hustling, bustling, like, you know, Spanish or Portuguese cities that like you can get around on a metro or anything like that. You would be depending on buses or private transfers. It was perfect. Now, they drive on the different side of the road to what I would have learned to drive. A lot of the island is on motorway, but there's also a lot of the parts of the roads that are very, very narrow, so don't be underestimated. Like, literally people standing in the middle of the road and you can't drive past. It's something to definitely take into consideration. Just if you plan on driving, just be very careful. They do drive quite fast there, but don't feel under pressure to be driving really quickly or anything like that. Take it at your own pace, and you'll be absolutely perfect. Now, some of the roads are narrow, as I said, but I did think that it was the best way to get around the island. I booked us an apartment on booking.com. I was looking for a long time. We were debating between staying in a hotel or an Airbnb, and in the end we chose this apartment. The photographs looked stunning. My big thing really was to have like a pool, but we ended up not using it at all. The video that I take here, just walk around the apartment, was absolutely identical to the photographs that we found on booking.com. The balcony was also so gorgeous. We stayed out there in the evenings just having like a glass of wine, and it also had an underground car park. So if you put in Madeira flavours on Google Maps, that will bring you to literally the entrance of the car park, and you can see it there on the green doors. So it's really close to like cafes. The pastry shop downstairs actually does savage fresh pastries and coffee in the morning. So the majority of day one was spent walking around Funkal Town. That's like the biggest town, capital I suppose, of Madeira. We had breakfast on our balcony in the morning. Like, look at the sunshine, it's stunning. Anyway, we headed off. We were lucky enough actually when we were walking into town, there was a flower market on when we were there. So it actually made it so pretty. Like, there was flower markets and all the cafes were open. Loads of local people were out. We were lucky enough then to find this gorgeous tea house. We got breakfast, smoothies, coffee. It was gorgeous. And then headed for the cable car. We went up the cable car anyway, and you buy a ticket like down on the bottom of it, and I don't know, was it about 10-15 minutes to get up to the top? So the first place you go to up the top then is Monty Palace. So it's like this Japanese garden centre. It was really pretty. Like, there was a little, now they glorified that cafe a little bit. I wouldn't be walking out there again. We went out there for the free shot. But anyway, it was lovely to walk around. The weather wasn't great up there. It was as if like a big cloud had come over just when we got up there. But it was really nice to walk around and just kind of relax, really. But the main thing we went up there for was these traditional cars. So when you walk down from the garden centre, keep walking left after you get out of the garden centre, go up the top of the hill. Just a side note, make sure you buy your ticket when you arrive at the hut. Don't just join the queue first. If you don't have your ticket when you join the queue, you have to go back to the back of it. There's 2 separate queues, like one for the tickets, one for the cart. Anyway, when you eventually get on the cart, it's the best crack ever. Now, I'd say the lads are bait from it, like, but they bring you down to almost to the bottom of Funkal, and maybe a 10-15 minute drive then back into the main town. So in order to convince my mother and brother to come to Madeira with me in the first place, I promised that we'd go to the Cristiano Ronaldo museum. So we headed off there. It's down kind of by the marina, really, in Funkal Town, and we just walk around the corner of the hotel and it's in. Now, to be fair, it was actually so worth going. It was only a fiver to get in, and the amount of souvenirs and replicas of trophies and jerseys that they have in there, and they have loads of like fan mail, and it's actually really, really nice. If you're anyway interested in soccer, we had lunch then inside in his hotel after. I got a Caesar salad, it was massive. The first viewpoint I had marked and wanted to go to was Ladies View. So we had it off in the car anyway with the GPS. Oh my god, the road was actually treacherous getting up there. So there was all these tunnels, but when you get to this area here on the right, you see that motorway. That's like an uphill motorway in a tunnel. And then when you get up to it, there's all these narrow roads that you meander around to get into the valley. I never was actually able to capture a good enough video to describe how treacherous it was. I think I was so stressed just getting up there. But when we eventually did, the clouds cleared a good bit and you just got the most beautiful view out over the valley, and I really enjoyed it. I think my family were quite stressed. You can go through one of the old traditional houses there as well if you're into that kind of thing. We went to them in Santana, so we didn't really spend much time there. After that, we went to the second viewpoint that I had saved just because, well, we were up there, like we weren't certainly not driving that drive again. We didn't find the platform that you're supposed to find. The weather was quite bad, but we found a makeshift version and we were able to look down on the opposite side of the valley. With very little research, we headed into Funkal Town for our dinner. We found this very lively street to have food. The food wasn't like 10 out of 10, but the atmosphere was. Day 2 was the day that we were supposed to have the best weather, so that was the day for our hike. Now, there are so many hikes to do in Madeira. If you look at any blog, any YouTube video, you will see that there are so many hikes. We were only there for 3 days, so I had to prioritise, and this was the one that I chose. It's a 10-kilometre loop. It's not out and back. You go out and you get collected. Well, we got collected. But you can hire a private transfer. I think it costs like €20 for a bus to drop you to the start point and collect you from the end point. There's a guided path the entire way, like with ropes and a very clear path. You wouldn't get lost. You don't need a guide to do it, but you would need a relative level of fitness because there is quite a number of steps. Normally I would recommend bringing like a packed lunch, first aid kit, all that kind of jazz. I did have a first aid kit, obviously, good walking boots, good walking socks. They're always essential. Walking poles, you probably wouldn't need them for this walk because of the fact that there's the railings the entire way. Definitely not for someone who would feel dizzy at heights or anything, because there are a lot of like cliff edges and stuff. The reason why I wouldn't recommend bringing a packed lunch is because there's a cafe at the beginning of the walk and there's a gorgeous Italian at the end of the walk. So you don't really need it. Maybe a sugar boost, like a cereal bar or something, but there'd be no need for like a massive like hot chicken roll or something. And you also need a headlamp. I will let you just enjoy the stunning footage of the hike. Can't get much more beautiful than that now. We got collected at the bottom of the hike. Thank you, Mom. And we headed down to Santana to see the traditional Madeira houses. You could walk around them. They were like little gift shops inside them. And then we started our little evening road trip. There was a couple of viewpoints that I had saved on Google Maps that I wanted to go and see. And then our last point was to head out to this cliff walk. I like to describe it actually as the Cliffs of Moher in Madeira. I don't know if that's legit or not, but that's what it reminded me of. Now, I'd say it would take you a good while to walk the full length of it. Like, it definitely would take you 3 or 4 hours. Like, I think we walked a good hour of it, and we only got to the base of like where the cliff actually starts to extend out. Like, we got nowhere near the local shop. There's like a shop and restaurant out the bottom of it. We got nowhere near that, but it was more just to stretch our legs, really, Joe, the way you'd see us up like after doing a big long walk. So it was more just to get out and enjoy the sunshine while we actually had it. I think we hit the jackpot now with finding this street. So basically, we had been walking into the centre of Funkal the whole time, right? But like only a 5 minute walk from the apartment that we were staying in was this random street. It was all like ex-Michelin restaurants. We decided to eat at this one because we couldn't get into the one up the road that looked really fancy. But I'd say if you'd eaten in any of them, like, they would have been gorgeous. Aperol spritzes were massive. Next morning, I think everyone was a bit sleepy after all the hikes we had done. I do not rest when I'm on holidays, so I took off on a little walk along the coast in the opposite direction of Funkal. I'm not sure there was anything life-changing that I saw on that walk other than a cute like cafe that I got a coffee in. I think that coffee was like €2 also. But sure, I was only going anyway to stretch my legs before a road trip for the rest of the day. So I just have one point actually to make on the road trips of day 3. So I just planned that road trip completely by myself on Google Maps. Same as what I always do. I literally zoomed into Google Maps and was like, oh yeah, that looks pretty, pin it. And we ended up making a full-blown route around the island. Madeira, it's quite easy to see that the island kind of splits into 2 halves if you look at the main roads that go through the island. So my plan was to basically do the 2 halves each day. We did the hike the day that the weather was supposed to be the best, and then we matched that with the shorter part of the island, and then we did the longer half for a more road trip and like towns that you would like spend a lot of time there. And that's basically how I split it up. But you could do it completely differently. Like, my biggest advice for planning any kind of a day road trip in any country, not just Madeira, is just to split the country into the areas like based on the main roads, because that will save you loads of time. And then basically just use Google Maps, pin places that you think look pretty. TikTok is brilliant. You can go on TikTok, people, even me, put up like top 5 places that they saw, and it's a brilliant way of like figuring out what to do. The best thing, again, I know I said in my last video about Google Maps, is that you can save it, you can download it offline. So it means you're not using your 3G. You can preload all your routes that you plan on going, all the places that you plan on seeing. Like, I find it brilliant. One thing that does deserve a specific mention though was this restaurant. I'm not going to spoil. Just go there. Just go there and order the cheese board. And that's it. Sorry, again, I just had to ditch that angle. I can't speak normally unless the camera's in my hand. That's my itinerary. It was really intense, I will say that. I feel like you'll notice that on my holidays. I'm a very intense person. Like, I don't like to like sit down and do nothing. I just think if I'm like in a country to see it, I want to get out and see it. I loved it. I really want to go back. There's so much to do there, like so many of the hikes. Like, we really had to pick what hikes we wanted to do, and I felt so hard done by like only getting to do the one really good one when there's so many to do. Yeah, I hope you get to go, and if you do go, comment down below things that I missed and that I didn't get to do, so that if I go back again I will know what's really good. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video, the next set of itineraries that I'm going out with. I don't know, will they be like as itinerary-ish, my next set of videos? It's going to be my review of like in Greece when I went sailing with G Adventures, and the couple of days solo backpacking that I did, and just my first experience of solo backpacking. Once those are up, we'll be getting into like my actual like real videos. Oh, skiing, Asia, all the fun stuff. Thanks very much for watching. If you liked my video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.